Money Heist is back, sort of, but this time it's in Korea. Is this new series one worth watching? Let's do it. What is up, Netflix fans? Welcome back to my channel. Like I said, Money Heist is back. This time they're in Korea. It's a remake. It's a very quick remake or a revival, if you want to call it that. But we're going to talk about how this stands out from the original. Is it too soon? Answering all of those questions. And of course, the summary goes like this. We have a genius strategist and people with very different personalities and abilities are fighting an extraordinary variable and engaging in an unprecedented hostage play. Episode 1 starts with the professor recruiting 8 thieves to storm the United Korea Mint as we have police pulling together a task force to take them down. Sound familiar? Well, there's a reason. Before we get into that reason, let's start with the rating. It is TVMA, TV mature, for violence and cursing references. Basically everything you expect from a show like Money Heist, so not one for the children. And I'm going to say these names. They're going to sound familiar. Berlin, Moscow, Rio, Denver, Tokyo, the professor. It's the same names, the same characters, except this time their origins are given to us in a different location with some variables here and there. There are distinct moments in Money Heist Korea. But there's also a second part to this name. It's titled Joint Economic Area. And like the summary says, they are storming the Unified Korea Mint, which is a location in between North and South Korea. So the political touch and overall feel in that way is distinctly different in this series compared to the last. So that I can appreciate. And the characters have there's similar quirks that we know from like your Tokyo and your Berlin from the other series, but slightly different, obviously, played by different actors. So you're going to have mannerisms and line delivery that comes across as, okay, well, that's different. And that's the word to talk about here, different, because we're really close to the first season of the original Money Heist. And to take that concept, bring us the same characters in a different location, essentially the same story, just tweaked every now and then with a style that feels similar. Some shots are all their own. There were sequences, one in particular in episode 3 that was distinctly different from what we've gotten in the other Money Heist show. But at the end of the day, we're always heading towards the same goal. And when I say the same goal, I mean that's essentially what you're going to get with the remake. And the question I kept asking myself, because what we were getting in this series wasn't, in my opinion, as compelling as what we got in the original, is this too soon? Because for me, I'm going to constantly be playing that comparison game as things play out in this season compared to the original. And while it's not matching moment for moment, it is playing out in the same manner at the same pace. We're getting these stories told out of order. Obviously, we start in that first episode building everything up with a series of flashbacks. This heist is developing, we're evolving, learning about these characters, and learning about the Korea Unified Mint, which is, again, a very different direction than what the original Money Heist gave us. So that I appreciate. As we know, the group attempts to take control. You have Berlin, who is taking these hostages and dividing them based on their nationality. The North and South Korea aspect comes into play, and from that story point comes heightened tensions all throughout the show. You have that narration from Tokyo that's giving us that perspective into the story, which I really do appreciate. And it's continuing to give us those moments that seem extremely complicated on their surface, but as the voiceover comes, it unfolds and plays out a bit more simplified, so that's another element of what worked extremely well about this series. And a style that's not all its own, but there are some things in play here that I did appreciate from a filmmaking perspective. The show does a very nice job of showing us the history of the Korean Peninsula, and for fans of like your K-dramas on Netflix, that K-drama spin on Money Heist is going to really elevate it for someone who is looking for that in this series. So if you're going into this without knowing what the original Money Heist is and having a love for this type of story and these types of characters, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to love this show. But for someone like me who's seen the original Money Heist and knows almost beat for beat how this is going to play out, and so far, albeit in a different way, it is playing out on that level, I can kind of see everything coming as it comes. And again, I just didn't find the interpretations and really the characters in general. Maybe one or two I liked more here, but for the most part, I still know and love the characters from the original Money Heist. So as we played out, it's predictable for me. I could see where it's going. I can see those story beats from a mile away, and I'm trying my best to get super invested in this as a standalone thing. But we're 5 years out, so I just think it's a little quick for a remake, and that really hurt me as I was going through this series. Another big question I have at the end of the day is, are people going to see this as an adaptation, a copy, a full-on remake? Can you appreciate the quality storytelling that is there? And there are a lot of quality elements about this series. It's just the fact that they haven't truly distinguished it yet. But before I give you guys my score, thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to drop that thumbs up for more Netflix reviews. The biggest struggle comes from seeing the exact same story beats play out in a remake that is not too far removed from the original. The quality storytelling is there, but it will be interesting to see how it continues to distinguish itself. I'm going to give it a chance and see how part 2 plays out. So because of that, right now I'm going a 60% with my score. If it distinguishes itself with the ending, I will feel happy about this score. Otherwise, well, we're just going to have to see what happens in part 2. But I need your thoughts. That's what this review is all about. Get in that comment section. Is it different enough? And do you like the new cast compared to the old? All right, guys, thanks for watching. See you soon.